Okay.
I know it's a game later because they played another game, but that first game they played against Thailand, they won 13-0. Some people criticized the score. I was okay with the score because goals 4 count later on for
Right.
tiebreakers and things. But their celebrations, I think, were over the top. Had big arguments with some of my friends. My boy Will, I don't know if he's listening right now, thinks it has to do with the fact that it's a women's team.
Will is a feminist.
So, I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with that. He brought up the men's the dream team basketball. They blew people out. I had no problem. Again, I told them I had no problem with the score, but you didn't see them, and I looked up highlights. These guys were throwing alley-oops and things like that, but they weren't celebrating after every score like the way these soccer players were. So I just think it was a little over the top. He also said it was the first World Cup for some of them. One of them scored 5 goals and it tied a record. And he's mentioning all these individual accomplishments, but I'm like, you don't do that. It's just, to me, it's bad sportsmanship.
You don't do that.
It's 13-0, and if you look at the 7th goal, 8th goal, 9th goal, 10th goal, every goal was celebrated like it was the first goal in a 1-0 game.
See, this is what happens in a sport where there's no implications to your bad behavior. You know what I mean? So we talk about the unwritten rules of baseball, that there's some horrible thing, but it's really not, because you don't carry on like that on a baseball field.
Well, you're going to get a pitch.
You're going to, and the worse that you do, the worse that it becomes. Because now you've hurt somebody's feelings so bad that they don't mind hitting you in the face with a baseball. You know what I mean? So this is the perfect example of why those rules exist and why you don't show up people on a baseball field, because they have the ability to kill you. In so many words. But I looked around, I saw a whole bunch of different things on this story. And I think this is extremely poor sportsmanship. And I say that because, there's one player, I'm trying to think of her name, starts with an R.
Finds Mewis to the shot, deflected, goal!
She also scored. She's the one that scored the 9th goal. And her celebration, her name is Megan Rapinoe. All right? For her 9th goal, Megan Rapinoe is a veteran. She's not a first-time World Cup player. I believe she has up to 50 international goals scored in her career. 50. You scored 9th goal versus Thailand. You're the 9th goal versus Thailand. Why you're in the game, I don't know to begin with. Right? Because your second or third string would have also scored that 9th goal.
One thing I hope this helps bring to light is they need to look at the teams that qualify for the World Cup, because obviously that team shouldn't be there.
Right. That team shouldn't be there. But the way that she celebrated for that goal was she runs around doing twirls, does a slide, kicks her heels up in the air, runs to the bench. Yes, this is a veteran, 50 goals scored in your career. And I saw the excuses that they made, somebody's first World Cup, wanting to celebrate with the bench, this and that. There's absolutely no reason for you to act like it's your first goal ever scored and you're scored over 50 in your career. The player that scored 5 goals, I should know her name because she's pretty famous. Her shenanigans were also deplorable because she's counting with her fingers each time she scores. And the point is, you have some vent-up enthusiasm after goal number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 even, when, the game might still be in doubt. But 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on, there's no more bent up enthusiasm that you want to get out. You're just hot dogging. You're just looking for a chance to get on the camera now because they know that this Women's World Cup is actually the pinnacle of women's team sports. Nothing else gets covered like it. And women and the players that play well in this tournament make names for themselves and a lot of money going forward. So they're hot dogging it on purpose because they know that this is the only time they get the camera. Think of the names. Garcia Parra's wife. Ham. Her name is Ham. Bunch of them. Wombat. Bunch of them. They come out of this tournament and they make money off of this tournament. This is the only time they can shine, and they making sure that they do it. So they went overboard on this. Go ahead, Joe.
I want to say, okay, I agree with you all to the extent where after you've beaten somebody and you put up 8, 9, 10 scores, then you kind of dial it back. I've literally seen people, that's like when you play basketball and the game is over, you're up 30 points, there's 8 minutes left to play in the game, through the four corners, everybody throws the ball around, runs the clock out, nobody says anything, you go home. I get it. But I'm going to disagree a little bit because I don't mind the celebrations. You know, mainly because a lot of times you start to look at sports and everybody's looking for like a bunch of nuns or Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts out there just come out shaking hands, knock a home run, go home. No. Being in the World Cup and actually getting a World Cup goal is a big deal. Like we've watched plenty of soccer games where it's like 1-0 or 2-0 or a 1-1 tie. You barely get to see a score. So I can understand when somebody finally gets one. They're like, yo, it's like a kid in the candy store. I think I have to be a little bit of control with it, but I really don't mind the celebrations all that much. Even with a guy that hits a home run in baseball, I know y'all disagree with me because y'all are baseball players, but if you knock a ball out the park and just make it look like a couple seconds longer, that's up to you if you want to risk yourself getting hit by a ball. But I don't really think that's big of a deal getting a little celebration on, as long as it's not necessarily showing up to the other person and it's like an organic, fun thing that you're doing with your team. And like you said, people are trying to make money and make a name for themselves. This is the only chance they get a chance to do that. So
right. But okay, here's how you know it's
and we
not
don't even
organic.
talk about this.
Oh yeah,
okay.
This is true. Here's how you know it's not organic. If the situation were reversed, let's say 5-0 Thailand, not even a reverse situation. 5-0 Thailand.
France earlier, maybe this
or
year
6.
Or
Let's go 6.
We didn't really know what to expect, but obviously I had a personal goal
and
set for myself.
USA
was happy about that, but
can you tell us what the
gotta
personal
get this
goal
girl's
was?
name.
It was 4.
Well, Alex Morgan scores 5 goals. You think she's celebrating her 5 goals
She got 5. That's
from behind?
yeah, not bad.
well done.
You think anyone is celebrating? You think anyone is celebrating their first World Cup goal if they're losing 3-0?
Here's what happens. When you step on the field or the court or wherever it is, if you take an L, no matter how much of a gentleman you are, you're opening yourself up to somebody talking trash to you, or you talking trash to them. That's, I think it's a part of it. Even when, like, Larry Brown and them played international ball and Team USA finally lost to all these teams around the world, they were talking mad noise and celebrating, and you can say, oh, that wasn't classic. But this is what happens. As long, in my opinion, as long as it's not over the top, I'm good.
Right. Right. Well, I think it was over the top because I think there comes a point where you can stop the over-the-top celebrations. You know what I mean?
After goal 4 or 5, I think that you can stop.
I get your initial. I just scored a goal enthusiasm, but the 2-minute celebration is a bit much.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't celebrate it at all.
Right.
You know, high five each other, hug each other, whatever. But they went, to me, a little overboard.
Definitely, I feel they went overboard.
Yeah.
And again, I
would like to see a little bit more emotion. Maybe not this sport. You know, I'm not really concerned about soccer per se because they probably did go overboard. But I like a little more emotion in golf. You know, a little more fist pumping, a little more celebrating in baseball. I think it might make people want to watch a little bit more because I feel like I can maybe connect with the player. Not necessarily trash talking and making people look bad, but more so celebrating and being entertaining.
I agree. If you watch the World Baseball Classic and you watch the Dominican team, the Puerto Rican team, the way if they act like that in Major League Baseball, something would happen, or they'll hear about it, or they'll get a pitch to the ribs. Or,
and that has nothing to do with the score.
But if you watch the way they play, or even winter ball in Dominican Republic, that's the way they play. And
they definitely offend people, but it's weird because that is such a good point, because it's so weird, because if you look at the stoicness of the Japanese players compared to the party atmosphere of the Latin players, it's completely different. You know what I mean? So clearly,
I'm okay with a little excitement, a little more showing like celebrations, but I just think in a 13-0 game, think about everybody talks about it was these girls' first World Cup.
Right.
How about Thailand players?
Right.
It could have been some of their first World Cup.
Now, what about
their experience now?
What about the point that if these were men, they would not be criticized for these same actions?
I disagree with that, because I think we would be having the same conversation,
if not worse.
I think we would just.
If not worse.
I think it'd be the same thing. You're up 13-0 and you're doing that.
I think it has nothing to do with it being women.
But see, but it's the players that put that thought out there. So I'm telling you, these players have a unique marketing opportunity where they all become superstars. No other woman team sports has this platform. They're the only ones.
They have fans from
all
girls that are 3 or 4 years old to women, older women.
Right, and they know it, because since the Women's World Cup has become popular in my eyes, maybe in the mid-2000s, every star player off that team has become a marketing superstar. More than the men.
Well,
we know the women's soccer players in this country much more than we know the men.
Well, part of it is also because the women's team is good.
That's true. But Joey, do you remember in the Women's World Cup where, I forget the young lady that scored the goal? This must have been like maybe 8-9 years ago. She took her shirt off and she had like her Nike sports bra or whatever on, and she ran around. And as a result of taking her shirt off, she got an endorsement from Nike, endorsement deal.
Right.
Specifically because of that celebration.
Was that
not because she was trying to get it, but it just happened.
No.
It
wasn't Mia Hamm. There was another young lady.
Abby Wambach?
Yeah.
It was Abby Wambach.
Yeah, so that's how, like you said, this is how it happens to them. So I get it.
Right.
Oh, Brandy Chastain.
See this?
Yeah.
We know more of them than we know
she's
men.
I even looked it up, and she was on the cover of Sports Illustrated with a picture of her with the shirt off.
Right.
Like,
they know this.
And that's how it happens.
And this is why they're over the top celebrating, because there's dollars involved for them if they become famous.
Get that paper.
Big time.
Which, at the end of the day, when it comes to that point, you can't blame them too much.
Right.
Because they don't have the major leagues or there's certain pro things. I don't know how popular. I just learned recently there's a professional soccer league here. I don't know how popular that is.
Not at all.
So,
it's not popular at all. This is the cream of the crop for them.
How much money they're making there.
Right.
Probably nothing.
This is the cream of the crop for them. Mia Hamm, look how far Mia Hamm went with that. Like, she's a household name off of the World Cup.
Probably the first person I'm naming if you tell me to name a soccer player that I know.
Right.
A female soccer player.
Well, she's most famous than any American male soccer player.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I know Tim Howard.
Definitely.
There's a couple others.
I know Hope Solo.
Hope Solo is another one. Yep.
Yes, very good goalie.
She's also become popular because she talks a lot.
But this was the stepping stone for her fame. And then we found out that
Hope could play, though.
She was crazy.
Hope was really good.
Right. And she will smack you if you burn the grits, Joe.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm talking respectfully to her.
Do not burn the grits. She's got to be the most famous domestic abuse female that we know. Like, she is when you think of the woman that beat up the man, this is the one that we know.
She's probably not even like that. He probably did something to her.
He burned the grits. That's enough.